Hi, and welcome to the Spark Start TA Leader Series, where we have the privilege of talking to some of the leading people in the industry to see what they're working on that's working, what questions they're asking, and what really is piquing their interest. Today, I'm delighted to have Christina with us. Christina, would you introduce yourself for the audience, please?
For sure. Thanks for having me. I am Christina Spadaro, and I oversee all of talent brand and talent attraction for a company called Rapid7. My role spans a high-level strategic development of value propositions, strategic planning with attracting talent, and all the way down to actually executing recruitment marketing campaigns. So a full plate, lots of different hats, and it's an exciting role.
Great. Thanks. Nice to have you with us. And for people who don't know, Rapid7 is a global organization, right? You operate
Yeah.
in how many countries?
Gosh, so we have about 15 global offices, and it's anywhere from Boston, which is where our headquarters is, all the way to Tokyo, Japan. We have an office in Prague, in Belfast, and we just opened our most recent location in Pune, India. So we are 15 global offices and growing, and it's been a really, really fun journey over the past few years.
So how do you manage a global EVP when you've got offices in locations that have very different national cultures and social cultures? How do you approach all of that?
Yeah, it definitely can be I'd say it's both challenging and also really rewarding to get to understand the differences and the unique strengths of each of our offices. I think at a high level, your EVP as a company is always going to be your EVP. The things that you do really well and that you really lean into, maybe it's like the top two or three things that you do well. Those are going to be consistent. But then when you start to look at the local locations, what are the different types of events that are happening in the office? Maybe there are different holidays, different customs that you celebrate. And how do you kind of package that and share that with the candidate audience in a way that really resonates while also tying to this bigger theme that you have that might be about collaboration or, really great teaming and innovation. So really figuring out how to connect the dots and kind of trail those breadcrumbs along is something that is really exciting that I get to do within my role.
Right. And I love the fact that you're acknowledging microcultures to
Yeah.
say that it's not the same universally. And we're finding really in large organizations, you have microcultures sometimes in the same location, but different departments. Now, I often
Correct.
say that internal audit has a very different culture, probably even in Boston, than your
Mhm.
sales team does. Just
Yeah.
how they interact with each other and so forth. But it doesn't mean you don't have core values. It doesn't
Correct.
mean that you can't have some unifying. But given this, does this mean that you are now producing 15 sets of all of your employer brand materials for your 15 different locations?
Yeah, so it's definitely not a situation where you have to reproduce every piece of collateral, every article, every video that you do to different locations. A lot of times my role is a team of one or maybe a team of two or three if you're lucky. So no, we all know how much work goes into just one piece of collateral. That's not really the strategy is simply duplicating and starting from scratch all over again. I think where you can be really smart about it is thinking about, okay, what are the things that really resonate with this particular geography or this particular candidate persona that we know works? Maybe a salesperson is going to respond really well to an ad on LinkedIn because they're on the platform for prospecting, whereas an engineer, you might want to look at a different channel. So it's not, in essence, doing the same thing in 15 different ways. It's identifying what is the one best way for this market or this audience given their demographics, given, the way that they think, the way that they operate, and what's important to this subset of people, either in this region or with this particular background, where I'm going to get the most bang for my buck, if you will, out of the effort that I'm putting forward. Because it takes a lot to go into just one piece. So yeah, the name of the game is not just duplicating and copying,
Yep.
pasting in different ways.
I love it. You're thinking about it strategically. And last and most important question, how are you measuring success? How do you know when it's working?
Yeah, I think this can be really difficult to do in recruitment marketing. I think we've been a little bit behind the industry in terms of like what traditional lead gen companies and teams have been doing. So, the big question that we've been trying to unpack at Rapid7 is how do we look at multi-touch attribution and work that in? So for those who aren't familiar, for example, we know that a candidate isn't just going to go to one place, see a job ad one time, just apply, and then accept an offer and go work there. We know they're going to look at different platforms and to different resources, whether that's the career site, whether they're looking at reviews on Glassdoor, maybe it's an article that came across their feed, maybe someone said something on social a couple weeks later. So there's all these different touch points, there's all these different pieces that contribute to that application getting completed. We are fortunate enough where we work with a vendor called 𝗀𝘆, who helps us to track and put pixels on pretty much everything throughout our site, and that we're able to do. So we can say, people who are, applying to the job, they might all be converting off of LinkedIn or one singular platform. But when we take that more broad approach and look at what did the full journey look like and what were the points of influence in that journey, you start to see that there's a lot more resources available. So I think what's really important to people in my space and TA leaders right now is to, not just think of your like ATS source of application as the silver bullet that's really working. It's really more about stepping back and thinking like a lead gen marketer and, thinking about what are all the different touch points, what are we putting out there and how is it influencing their decision as they're thinking about us and getting our brand out there, and how many touch points does it really take to actually get them to that point of conversion to apply where they're going into your ATS. So
I agree. I hear a lot of people say, oh, our career site is the most important because that's where applications come from. But people have to get to the career site. The career site is inherently a passive medium. They've got to go search it out. So they've got to know about your organization. So I love the broader thinking. Well, Christina, thank you. I think this has been fascinating. I think for everybody who's dealing with global or even just large complex organizations that may not be global, but may have lots of different pieces to it. I think it's a question they grapple with all the time. So I really appreciate your thinking and thank you. If people want to talk to you about it more, are you open to someone reaching out on LinkedIn? Would that be okay if people want more information? Great.
yeah, happy
Terrific.
to connect on LinkedIn. Shoot me a message. Always happy to chat.
Great. Thanks, Christina. I appreciate it. Goodbye.
Thank you.